PBS Kids wants to know, what's your holiday wish?
Giant Santa slippers!
Making snow angels! Anything shiny!
PBS Kids presents the week you've been wishing for. Filled with so many magical and spectacular shows. You couldn't ask for anything more.
Hooray!
The week of holiday fun begins Monday, only on PBS Kids. Or get in the spirit online anytime at pbskids.org.
Hi, it's me, Hooper. Can you guess where I am today?
Where is he going? What will he do? Where in the world is Hooper?
I'm in a place where there are lots of beds, but it's not a hotel. Here's another hint. There are lots of doctors here.
Paging Dr. Cooper. Dr. Cooper.
What? Did she say Dr. Hooper?
Nope, I said Dr. Cooper.
Oh, phew. Okay, now here's a final clue for Martha
I
Speaks.
think you found your first patient.
Can I go in?
Sure.
Great clue. There are patients or people who come here when they're sick. So we're at a place with lots of beds, doctors, and there are patients here too. Can you guess where I am? Yep, a hospital!
See Super Y and the Super Readers.
With my magnifying glass, I can find Peter Rabbit.
Use their powers to save the day.
Thanks, Super Readers.
Super Y, weekdays on PBS Kids. Or watch anytime you want at pbskids.org.
Sizzling sausages!
Martha Speaks is full of daring adventure. From Martha's work as a spy
Find out who is trying to steal the formula.
to the dark secret of her early puppy days.
You robbed a store?
See where it all began.
She's gone. Martha!
Don't miss Martha Speaks on PBS Kids.
Yow! Go, go, go!
Thomas and Friends, making tracks to great destinations.
Dear Christopher, here is your friend Thomas the Tank Engine. He wanted to come out of his station yard and see the world. These stories tell you how he did it. I hope you will like them because you helped me to make them. Your loving Daddy.
Percy the small engine had been working hard for the Fat Controller. The weather was cold and Percy made sure everybody knew it. "My boiler is freezing," he complained. "I'll never get enough steam in this weather," he'd pout to the other engine's dismay. Thomas was just as displeased as Percy. Thomas hated wearing his snowplow. "It's uncomfortable. I shan't wear it." And that was that. Thomas stayed in the sheds all day while Percy did Thomas's work as well as his own. That night in the sheds, Percy and Thomas started arguing. "You're lazy," Percy grumbled. "No, I'm not," Thomas snapped. Aren't? Then why don't you do your work instead of staying in the sheds all day?" Percy retorted. "My snowplow is uncomfortable." This made Percy very cross. The next morning, Percy got back to work. He went to collect Annie and Clarabelle when he saw a little engine puffing around, looking lost. "Hello?" Percy called over. "Oh, yes, hello," the little engine responded. "Do you know where the Farquhar branch is?" They smiled. "Right here, this is Farquhar Sheds." Just then, the Fat Controller arrived. Hello, Percy. I see you've met Rosie. The Fat Controller looked at the little pink engine. She's come here temporarily to help around Thomas's branch line while he refuses to leave the shed. The Fat Controller explained. Please show her around. Yes, sir, Percy said and puffed off with Rosie. That night, Rosie slept in the carriage shed. Thomas didn't speak to Percy, but Percy told Toby all about Rosie. She's wonderful, he peeped. She goes so smoothly down the line, and she's so funny, too. This made Thomas very upset. The next morning, Rosie was to go to the quarry when she finally met Thomas. Hello, she greeted the little blue engine, but Thomas didn't answer. He was jealous. This is your branch line, right? Yes, not yours, Thomas growled. Rosie chuckled nervously. I'm off to the quarry. I'm collecting stone to bring to the harbor. Do you have any tips for me since you know the line so well? Her eyes glimmered. Thomas saw his chance. The Fat Controller loves when his engines are really useful. So you should try to take extra trucks full of stone, Thomas snickered. I'll try my best, Rosie said cheerily. After collecting extra chucks, Rosie set off once more. As she strolled down the line, it started to snow, and the weather worsened and worsened until she could barely see through the thick snow. The signalman didn't know she was coming and didn't set the points, and Rosie was diverted onto the wrong line. She approached Gordon's Hill and struggled up. Until she finally reached the top. I did it! Hooray! She cheered until the heavy stone started pushing her on and on. Oh dear! She wailed. I can't stop! She panicked as she disappeared into the fog, and a loud smash was heard. Oh no! She cried. I've come off the rails! Percy soon came to her rescue and brought her back to the sheds where Thomas was very pleased. Percy and Toby were very upset with Thomas. You know this is your fault, right? Percy scowled. Good, Thomas laughed. Percy was so cross he left to the carriage shed to sleep with Rosie. Toby looked at Thomas. You should be sorry. Rosie was crying. What's wrong? Why doesn't Thomas like me? I'm not sure. Percy tried to console her. Just give him time, he said reassuringly. Just give him time.
Thomas has so many friends, some fast, some tall, some slow, some green, some blue, some red, some square. Let's see which ones you know. There's Bertie the bus on his way to school. The children are friends too. For Trevor the tractor and Harvey the crane, there's always work to do. And who's flying by? Why, it's Harold the helicopter way up in the air. Elizabeth the lorry driving along, going to who knows where.
friends, you can't forget their names. Percy, Edward, Gordon, Emily, Henry, Toby, James. Old friends, new friends, real friends, true friends, we're so glad to be. Work friends, play friends, night and day friends, one friendly family. Old friends, new friends, real friends, true friends, we're so glad to be. Work friends, play friends, night and day friends, one friendly family.
The island of Sodor is a wonderful place. There are lots and lots of engines. Who's that puffing along the track? It's James. James is a bright red engine. He has the number 5 painted on his tender, a bright brass dome, and 6 strong driving wheels that clickety-clack along the tracks of Sodor. James is the only red engine, and he is very proud of his red coat. One day, James had a bright new coat of red paint. He wanted all the other engines to tell him how wonderful he looked. The next morning, Sir Topham Hatt told James to help Percy at the coaling plant. But James went to gaze at his reflection in the canal. At last, James arrived. The yard manager told him to take an extra long line of freight cars to Brendam Docks. James was very happy. There were a lot of people at the docks to tell him how splendid he looked. But the freight cars were very troublesome. They wriggled and giggled. They biffed and they bashed and covered James in coal dust. When James arrived at Brendam, his bright red coat was very dirty. Luckily, James is never too proud to see the funny side. But his pride can get him into a lot of trouble. There was to be a new holiday poster for the island of Sodor. Sir Topham Hatt chose Edward to be the poster engine. James was upset. He and Edward were almost the same. James decided to do everything he could to be the poster engine. He tried to get into the poster photograph, but Sir Topham Hatt sent him away. Thomas and Percy told James that Edward was chosen because he was gentle. And Edward didn't mind doing dirty jobs. So James was gentle at the coaling yard. But that made him late. James took the express track to race Edward. He was just in front when a signal turned red. James screeched to a halt. But Edward couldn't stop in time. Edward ran into James, and James shot straight through the poster. Now James was the poster engine. James knows when he has gone too far. And then he helps his friends. That's because James is a really useful red engine, and he shines most of all when he is with his friends. Thomas loves feeling like a really useful engine. But sometimes being really useful is hard work. In wintertime, snow can fall onto the railway lines. Sometimes snow can stop Thomas in his tracks. Then Thomas has to wear his snowplow so he can finish his job on time. Sometimes the weather is foggy and it is hard for Thomas to see. So Thomas's driver lights his lamp, and Thomas puffs slowly and carefully. He blows his whistle to warn everyone he's coming. It's hard work, but Thomas always does his best. Thomas has other hard jobs to do. Often he has to pull freight cars full of slate and coal. It's very tiring pulling them uphill. And when Thomas goes down the other side, the heavy freight cars make it hard to slow down. So Thomas has to put his brakes on all the way down. But even when the work is hard, Thomas always tries his best and gets the job done. Thomas is a really useful engine. On the island of Sodor, everybody enjoys helping each other. If Annie and Clarabelle come off the track, who do you think can help Thomas get them back on their wheels? Harvey. Harvey loves helping his friends. He carefully lifts Annie and Clarabelle up and puts them safely back on the track. Gordon pulls the express up Gordon's hill. But when he has lots of coaches, he has to go slowly, and sometimes he needs help. Who can help Gordon and his coaches get safely up the hill? Edward. Edward is always happy to help any engine who needs an extra push. And what if James suddenly broke down? Oh dear. Now James can't go anywhere. But James isn't worried. He knows he has lots of friends who can help. Bertie the bus can take his passengers to the station. And Thomas is happy to tow James to the repair yard to be fixed. And everyone will help do James's jobs for him while he is away. And everyone will welcome James back when he is ready to be really useful again. There are always lots of jobs to do on the island of Sodor. Helping one another makes Sir Topham Hatt's railway run smoothly. Toby's shed is old, so Sir Topham Hatt is building him a brand new one. But the shed still needs a roof and a door. The workmen have delivered 3 new roofs, but only one of them is right for Toby's new shed. Which do you think it is? The first roof is tall and pointed. Does that look right? No, that roof has a spire. It goes on a church, not on a shed. What about this one? This roof has round turrets made of bricks. Does that look right? No, that roof has turrets. Turrets go on a castle, not a shed. One roof is left. It's got sloping sides and is made of wood. Does that look right? Yes. That's the right roof for Toby's new shed. Now Toby's shed has a roof, but it still needs a door. The workmen have brought 3 new doors, but only one of them is right. Which one do you think it is? The first door is arch-shaped with a big handle. Does that look right? No, that's the door to a church, not a shed. What about this one? It has holes and goes up and down. Does that look right? No, that's a portcullis. The door to a castle, not a shed. There's one door left. It's square and made of wood. Does that look right? Yes, that's the right door for Toby's new shed. Now Toby's shed has a new roof and a new door. Toby is very happy. Good night, Toby.
One winter's morning, Toby was trundling down the line with some stone. Maybe his engine had been acting up in the cold, so he had stayed the night at the quarry to help. Now, he was heading home. Mrs. Kindly was waiting to wave good morning to the first train.
Hello, Mrs. Kindly. Make sure you stay wrapped up.
With a ring of his bell, Toby steamed past and into the tunnel. Mrs. Kindly turned to go back inside when she heard a loud ouch! Toby's driver and fireman trudged out of the tunnel, looking dazed.
Are you boys all right?
She asked worriedly. We're fine, sighed the driver, but Toby's run into an icicle in the tunnel.
Bless your souls. Come in. You can use my telephone to call for help.
The news soon reached the Fat Controller, who ordered that all trains must stop outside the tunnel to let crews check for any danger. What a swizz! Grunted Thomas the Tank Engine. I shouldn't be made to sit in the freezing cold just because Toby couldn't see a great big piece of ice. It'll make me late! Annie and Clarabelle tittered anxiously to one another. They hated the thought of being late. They soon arrived at the tunnel. Thomas was brought to a stop, while his crew hopped down to inspect. Please don't be long, pleaded Thomas. We'll be as quick as we can, his fireman promised. But it was a long tunnel, and his driver and fireman had to be thorough. At last, they came back. Thomas hoped he could make up time. He did make up some, but not enough. Thomas couldn't help it. They were late day after day after day. Something needs to be done, Thomas huffed to the coaches.
Oh dear.
Annie fussed.
You and your schemes.
Well, we can't keep arriving late every afternoon. I'm gonna figure something out. You see if I don't.
Just be sensible, Thomas dear.
Thomas went off to do some shunting. He found Percy, struggling with a van. Need some help, Percy?
Oh yes, please, Thomas. I'm meant to be bringing this rock salt to dock,
but I think the wheels are
frozen.
Thomas was puzzled too. Then he noticed he was wheeshing steam where the van had been. An idea struck him like an icicle in the funnel. The next day, Thomas explained his idea to his crew. So, we won't need to stop if we just melt all the ice with a good head of steam. It's worth a try, his driver said. Just be careful. They soon set off. Thomas slowed down as the tunnel came into sight. He took a deep breath and whee! Thomas's plan worked a treat. The ice quickly melted and started to drip from the tunnel roof. Unfortunately, it also meant that ice-cold water showered Annie and Clarabelle like rain.
Whoosh!
They wailed.
Stop, Thomas! Stop!
Thomas didn't notice. He was too busy thinking how brilliant his idea had been. Thomas arrived at the big station right on time, feeling very pleased with himself. As the passengers filed out, there was a thud from one of Clarabelle's compartments. Everyone was confused. Then they saw.
Let us out!
Some passengers cried. The water had turned to solid ice and frozen their doors shut. Cinders and ashes, Thomas choked. The passengers kept banging on Clarabelle's door and shouting, while the porter and station master tried to help. Thomas heard a door open and slam shut. Oh, thank goodness you got them out! But it wasn't Clarabelle's door, it was the Fat Controller's. He came storming out of his office with his teapot. He marched over and poured hot water all over Clarabelle's door. That did the trick. Please accept my deepest apologies. This will not happen again. What I want to know, snapped a passenger, is if that little special effects display will happen again. You'd think the coaches were on fire with all that smoke in the tunnel. The Fat Controller slowly turned around. Thomas, would you care to explain what this man means by that? I didn't want to stop to check the tunnel. It was making me late. So I tried melting the ice away while I went through. It worked pretty well, actually. But then I suppose that's not why you're cross? Your idea to solve the problem was disobeying my orders and creating another. Thomas. Sometimes what works out well for you doesn't work the same for others, as we can see here. Take these two to thaw out in the carriage shed, he finished. And if they're not ready for the next train, you can do some shunting instead. At least there's no tunnels in the yard. Thomas humbly obliged. The icy stares of Annie and Clarabelle were enough to make sure he followed that order. Next time he had a foolproof plan.
PBS Kids.
Reads a guy who's got it all. Brains.
Excellent, Arthur. You really gave that a lot of thought.
Style. And a little sister.
Arthur! This is all your fault. What kind of older brother are you?
That's DW. She's really,
Is that the best you can do?
really
Let us out! Let us out!
little sistery.
Wake up, Arthur! It's time to start the show!
Don't miss Arthur, weekdays on PBS Kids Go.
PBS Kids has your ticket for the Dinosaur train.
Do you want to go?
Join Buddy on adventures from every dino era.
Let's do this!
Climb aboard Dinosaur train, weekdays on PBS Kids, or anytime you want at pbskids.org.